What's up, everybody? It's Eddie with Imagine Life Development Center. And today I wanted to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, something that I hope will encourage those of you out there that are going through a difficult time in your personal relationships. What I want to talk about today is the concept that the grass is greener on the other side. And no, I don't just mean like cheating or having an affair with somebody. I'm not talking about, the types of people that, are just never satisfied no matter who they're with. Okay. I'm talking about people who actually care about somebody. They're actually, they love somebody. They're in a relationship, a serious relationship. And when the relationship starts to have problems, or you go through, a difficult time, you're facing, challenges together in the relationship, or maybe you have a bad day, maybe you're having a bad week, maybe you're having a bad month, or, something just, spirals out of hand, and next thing you know, the relationship blows up, right? The idea that it's easier to walk away from the relationship, it's easier to give up than it is to work on it and grow and learn and evolve and change, right? Because we live in a society where most people, in my experience of working with dozens and dozens and dozens of people in relationship coaching, and my personal experience of just being out in the dating world, unfortunately, I believe our culture has kind of transformed into this kind of like, maybe a less is more mentality, maybe with social media and dating apps and just how superficial the world has become and how easily and readily available it is to meet people with dating apps and all the different things. There's kind of like this social norm. It's acceptable now to just kind of dump on, relationships. So it's like when you meet somebody and things are going good, then it's like, everyone's happy for you, right? Good is good. Good is a green light. But the minute you start going through challenges and, or if you have a fight or you have a tiff, or maybe you have what we call a fake breakup, which essentially just, you reach a threshold in your relationship where your self-preservation kicks in and you say or you do things that are very unhealthy in that moment that, unfortunately causes a lot of regret, causes a lot of damage, and maybe you do break up in that moment. But it's the reason we call it a fake breakup is because it was a heat of the moment situation, right? It wasn't intellectual. It wasn't logical. You weren't thinking about it. You were in self-preservation. And what happens when we enter self-preservation mode, our nervous system goes into a fight or flight response. We get flooded with adrenaline, and the chemicals that are being released in our body literally shut down our mind, our logical reasoning mind. It's the most primitive part of ourselves, when we get triggered. It's like we think the tiger is coming to get us and we're going to be attacked and we're going to be killed. So, it's either fight, flight, or freeze. So we say and we do things that we will almost always regret when we get triggered to a certain point. And we all have a threshold. We all have a threshold where once we breach that threshold, that barrier, and we exceed it, the logical mind shuts off and we are just in sheer primal, primitive self-preservation, fight, flight, or freeze mode, right? And that's when the worst of the worst of the worst happens in relationships. In fact, I read a book a year ago where I talk about this. I ask people all the time what they think the number one reason for breakups or divorces, and most people will say communication is the top reason for divorces or breakups. And if they don't say that, they'll say money and finance problems. If they don't say that, they'll say sex and intimacy issues. And those three aren't even in the top 7. The number one reason for divorces and breakups is self-preservation. It's what happens to us when we breach that threshold and we are no longer in our logical reasoning mind. And it doesn't matter how much you love this person. It doesn't matter how much you care about this person. It doesn't matter how long things have been going good or going well for you. It doesn't matter how, what you've achieved together, what you've accomplished together, how many years you've been together. All that shit goes out the window. In a single instant of self-preservation, you can destroy a lifetime worth of what you built, a lifetime worth of love, acceptance, right? Because that's how triggering it is when we go into self-preservation. That's how dangerous, how destructive it is when we exceed that threshold. And that's when the worst of us comes out. And it's not personal. It's not that we're intending to harm or hurt the partner, the person that we love. It's just we all have a point of no return. And when we exceed that point of no return, we're going to do things, we're going to say things, we're going to behave in a way that's for sure going to create a detrimental result. It's going to have a destructive result on the relationship and ourselves. And in some cases, we can't bounce back from it. It just depends. It depends on what we say, what we do, what happens in that moment. The level of destruction that is caused when we go into self-preservation determines, how we can bounce back, recover from it, what can be healed. It's just, who knows? Some people can recover from it. Some people can't. It just all depends on the person, the two people that are involved in that situation. So unfortunately, well, here's the reality. Let me back up and say this. The reality is we all do this. Every single one of us is guilty of it. There is no greater than, less than. Like, my sins are not better than, or no greater or less than your quote unquote sins, right? But we have this tendency to judge people when they go into self-preservation, and we have a tendency to let ourselves off the hook, right? It's like we want to compare and judge people for the things that they do to us, but we don't want to take responsibility for the things that we do to others. And that's just a normal, typical human response. That's another self-preservation response. I'm trying to salvage my reputation in a situation where I'm equally as guilty as the person who's doing something to me. It's just different. The way that they self-preserve and the way that I self-preserve are different. And most people are so busy keeping score and keeping track and keeping tally of every little thing that their partner does wrong, that it becomes this game of who did more, who did less, right? We're taking tally. And if you're taking tally in your relationship, then you're not in love. You're playing a game. You're playing chess. You're not truly in love with this person. There's 4 levels of love, right? Level 1 is sheer primal. I only care about my needs, period. I only care about myself. It's the 100% selfish, narcissistic behaviors with that, the most primitive levels, right? It's the people who are only looking out for their needs, and they'll do whatever they have to. They'll manipulate, they'll control, they'll dominate, they'll do whatever they can to get their own personal needs met, no matter what. And they have they don't give two shits about what anybody else's needs or wants or desires are. It's sheer, purely selfish. Level 2 love is what we call trading or whoring or horse trading. It's when it's a little bit above level 1. So you're not completely selfish, but you're still pretty selfish. And this is basically when you're only willing to give when you know that person is going to if you're going to get something in return, right? We give to get. It's a trade. I'll give to you, but you're going to have to give this back to me in return. So now the relationship is based on, well, I'm not going to give anything to you, and I'm not going to meet your needs. I don't care about you unless I know that if I do this for you, you're going to do this in return for me. So now we're keeping track. We're keeping tally. Like, well, I gave you this, so now you owe me that, right? And it's a relationship built on obligation because you have two people that are keeping score. They're keeping tally of, well, you did this to me, but I gave that to you. And it becomes this transactional relationship, which is also not love. Then you can move into, people who become, conscious and aware of this and evolve and then grow. Level 3 is, I'm going to give to you no matter what. I am here because I genuinely, truly love you. I'm not here to get anything, and I simply give to serve, right? There's no keeping track. There's no keeping tally. I genuinely want you to feel safe, seen, heard, and understood. I want you to be loved. I want to give to you. That's level 3, right? And then you move to level 4, which very few people get. And this is unconditional love. Level 4 is absolute unconditional love. This is when you can love people who literally are hurting you, like Jesus Christ, right? Like as an example, when Jesus, they were crucifying him, they put him on the cross, and he looks down at the Roman centurions, the people who literally just tortured him, and they're killing him. And he said, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. So it's your ability to love people that you would consider otherwise your enemies, when you can literally love the people who hate you and do harm to you, right? That's level 4 love, unconditional love. So the problem is that our society, most people are playing at level 1 and level 2. And if they're really honest with themselves and they were taking inventory of their relationships, they would know that they're playing at level 1 and level 2. They're playing safe because people don't want to get hurt. Most people have been through some degree of shit in their lives, and they're carrying their trauma and their baggage and all these things, and they just don't want to be hurt. But they want connection and love because it's one of our 6 fundamental human needs. We all need connection or love. Now, most people settle for connection because connection is less risky. Connection is a lot easier to get. You can get connection in all sorts of ways. Where love requires risk because it requires an emotional attachment and it requires an investment, right? And the most courageous thing that anybody will ever do, in my opinion, and I'll debate and argue anybody until we're blue in the face, is that love is the most courageous thing any human will ever do. Because love is that thing that has the ability to hurt you in ways that nothing else can hurt you on an emotional and soul level. Right? It can destroy you. Love is that powerful, but it's also that thing that can fulfill us more than any other thing in this world can. Right? And deep down, we all want love. We all want that deep, intimate, powerful soul level of love where we know that love is part of a divine force that's greater than us, regardless of what you believe. But so many people settle for connection because they're too afraid to take the risk and actually go for a deeper, a more intimate experience, which is what love is. This is why love is courage. The most courageous thing you'll ever do is actually choose love and not just superficial connections, right? You're going to go for broke. It's like, you know what? I'm going to take the leap off this cliff and I'm going to go for it. And I know that the amount of vulnerability and the amount of openness that I have to this thing called love has the ability to crush me, destroy me, hurt me. But it also has the ability to do things and take me places that I can never be, a level of fulfillment, a level of passion, a level of experience that I can have that I'll never find anywhere else. You can't find it in any type of drug, any type of material object or possession. You can't find it in status or career or accolades. You can't find it in a bank account number. You can't find it in casual sexual experiences. You can't find it in superficiality or looks. You can't find it in any of these other things. It's something that occurs inside of your heart and your soul. It's profound. It's sacred, but it's costly. Because it requires courage. And courage is not the absence of fear. It's doing the thing scared. It's doing the thing despite knowing that there is a risk. It's like jumping out of a plane, right? Jumping out of a plane with nothing other than, this thing called a parachute that will hopefully open and will function the way that it's designed to. And hopefully, if all goes well, the parachute opens and you'll float safely down to the earth and you'll live. But you don't know. There's nothing in this world that's 100% certain. There's no system that is 100% fail-safe, including parachutes. So when you jump out of that plane, a part of you knows that this is it. This could be it. This could be my last living moment. It's falling to the earth. And if this parachute doesn't open, I'm dead. But you jump anyways. Why? Because you do it despite the fear that you have that the parachute won't open. There's something about that experience that is more valuable to you than the fear of not having the experience. And it's called life. That's what life is about. Life is about living. Life is about going for experiences and reaching for experiences that scare the shit out of you, because the experience is what's going to fulfill you. The experience is the thing that actually gives meaning to the life that you're living. Life is not about just being born and sitting in a turtle shell in a little box and just our comfort zone and just going, well, but I'm safe. Nothing can hurt me. At least I know that I'm safe. At least I can control and dominate and know that everything in my life is under my control, under my power. And as long as I just sit here in my comfort zone, nothing can get me, and I'm perfectly safe. Well, you might be safe, but you're going to be miserable. And you're already dead because you're not living, you're not experiencing life. Right? And so this brings to mind a very interesting phenomenon in people who are diagnosed with a life-ending illness, like cancer. You get terminal cancer. You go to the doctor, they say you have cancer, you have 2 weeks to live, or a month to live, whatever it is. And what's interesting is once that person gets that final diagnosis, once they're basically told, hey, your life is over, you have a month to live, you're dead. That's it. It's like a lot of those people go into a bizarre state of serenity and peace, and then they go out and they start living their life the way that they should have been living it before they got the diagnosis. They start doing all the crazy things that they always wanted to do, taking the trips, taking the risk, going, having this experience or going for that experience. It's like they throw it all to the wind, right? They throw the whole thing to the wind and they don't care anymore. They actually start living. And how sad is that? How sad is it that you have to be given a diagnosis of death in order for you to start living your life? But unfortunately, so many people, that's what it takes, right? So, people treat love in that way because love is very scary. Love is extremely scary because it's uncertain, because you can't control love. You can't force somebody else to love you and be certain. You're not promised that that person is going to always be honest with you, never not hurt you, never say or do something that's going to hurt you or wound you or not betray you or not lie to you or not cheat on you or not even die, right? Who knows? People die all the time. There's zero certainty in love. You have to risk giving your heart. You have to risk putting yourself out there, the connection and the vulnerability. You have to risk the potential that, this could come back and hurt me. If this relationship doesn't work out, something happens, this could destroy me. This could obliterate my soul, and it's going to hurt like hell, right? But there's two types of people. There are those who rise again from the ashes, powerful people, or those that are powerless. Those are those who are growth or solution-oriented and growth-oriented people who find the treasure in the pile of shit, as I like to call it, and they transform that treasure into a miracle that they apply to their lives and then becomes a miracle that they can share with others, or they allow the damage and destruction to define who they are, and they become crippled. They become paralyzed. They're afraid. They're afraid to live and experience. They're afraid to enjoy the very short existence we have that we call life, right? They become a victim. They blame. They believe that life is just happening to them and they have no control. And sometimes, we can't always control the things that happen to us, and we certainly can't control what other people do to us, but we always have control over how we respond no matter what. No matter who, no matter what situation, circumstance are happening in our lives, we are always in control of our own selves and our own destiny. We're in control of the stories that we tell ourselves, the meanings and the stories that we give to any experience that we have. And are we associating a powerful meaning and a powerful story, an empowering story and meaning to a situation, or are we creating a disempowering story and meaning to it. And it's so sad because so many times and so often I see with people when it comes to relationships, I see a lot of things, but the first thing that I see is they immediately go into crisis mode, right? They go into worst case scenario mode and they immediately attach this doomsday apocalyptic thing. It's like, well, it's all over. It can't be fixed. It can't work. And I knew this was going to happen and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like negative, pessimism. It's like just this downward spiral into this void and this vortex, right? When, the issue, no matter how big it is, it's like, we don't have to make it worse than it is. And so many people, they take whatever situation they're going through, and a lot of times it's really just a molehill, and they turn it into a mountain. Right? They turn an ant into Godzilla. It turns into this huge, massive, monstrous thing in their mind. They build it up to be this huge, big thing that it really wasn't. And when you're giving all your energy and your power away to that negativity, you're not in a resourceful state. You're not in a position now where you can actually troubleshoot this and, divert your attention to the things that can be fixed. You're not in a mode where you can operate and function. You can troubleshoot this. You can fix it. You can resolve it because all your resources are focused on negativity. Where your focus goes, your energy follows. If you're focused on negativity and victimhood and what's wrong, what's not working, it's done, it's over, chaos, panic, paralyzation, pessimistic, overanalyzing, overthinking, negativity, then you're not, all that energy in focus is one-dimensional, and you're stuck. You're going to be stuck, and this is why most people stay stuck. And it's a super simple thing that can be fixed, because all it has to do with is changing your focus. For many people, it's literally that simple. And they'll go spend thousands of dollars in therapy and this and that, and they'll stay stuck, right? Because you can sit in front of a therapist and you can bitch and you complain about, well, my boyfriend, my husband, my wife, my whatever, they do this, blah, 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 blah. And the therapist is happy to take your money, listen to you vent, listen to you bitch, and pat you on the shoulder like, oh, yeah, your husband's an asshole. Oh, your wife, she's a bitch. Oh, you shouldn't have said this. You shouldn't have done that, and blah, 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 right? But your focus hasn't changed, and that therapist isn't helping you change your focus, right? You're in a powerless place. I'm a victim. I'm going to blame. I'm a victim. I'm going to blame. You're in a powerless place, right? Where if you change your focus, you can become a powerful person. You can realize that I am in control of my destiny. I'm in control of my thoughts, feelings, actions, responses. I'm in control of the meanings and the stories that I create based on the experiences that I have. Right? And that's what a growth-oriented person does. A solution-oriented person says, hey, this happened to me, it sucks. Or, hey, I'm imperfect. I hurt this person. I did wrong. I said something that I shouldn't have said. I overreacted. Or, I had a moment of weakness and I said or I did something to my partner and I effed up. So, but I'm going to take responsibility for that. Like, hey, you know what? I said and I did something that was terrible. I'm going to go to my partner and I'm going to take responsibility. I'm going to apologize. I'm going to let them know that what I did was unacceptable. I'm going to figure out what I need to change within me so that this never happens again. What happened? Why did I do this? Why did I behave this way? I'm going to go within me. I'm not going to make this about my partner. I'm going to look within me and see what I need to change, what I need to fix, because I'm the only thing that I can control, right? So, going back to the point in all this is we live in a society where people like to co-sign other people's powerlessness or co-sign other people's bullshit because they're having the same experiences that everybody else is having because powerless people like to congregate. People like to spend time with other people who are like themselves. So you'll typically find, like A-type personalities, passion-driven entrepreneurs, like you'll find those types of people in one type of community. People that are, they like to execute, they like to get results. They're very ambitious, they're growth-oriented, solution-oriented, right? you'll see those people are all in a group together. And then you'll typically find people who are victims. They blame, woe is me, my life sucks, such and such did this to me. They always have some blame story, some victim mentality story. And you never hear them say, oh, well, I did this or I did that, or, you never hear them taking responsibility for the part they played in anything that happens in their life. It's always somebody else's fault. Somebody else did this. Somebody else did that to me. Victim, blame, victim, blame, right? Like, and all those people, typically congregate. They all think the same way. They have the same values, and they will all give you the same type of advice. Which is why you have to be extremely careful about the advice that you get from people who are unqualified to give it. You should never take advice from somebody who is not getting the results in their life that you want, right? Like if you're looking to get shredded, in like perfect physique, and you want a six pack and you want to be shredded and stuff, it's like, you're not going to go to some fat 400-pound overweight guy who's sitting on his couch eating Cheetos. Like, whoa, no, I'll tell you how to get in shape. Like, dude, you've never been to the gym one day in your life. You definitely don't need to be listening to, health advice from that guy. But this is what people do with relationships all the time. They'll go to whoever, their friend, their girlfriend, their mom, their dad, or whoever's around them. And these people, they're all fucked up. They've gone through fucked up experiences, and they have there's no qualification that this person has to be giving you any advice about anything, because their life is a shit show no different than yours is. Their relationships are no better, no worse than yours are. And for those people who, on the outside, the surface level, who you might think have it all together because they have the perfect social media pictures and their perfect family and professionally photographed, and their family looks so happy and they're all smiling and all that. You can't pay attention to that, because most of those people are miserable, and you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You don't know what's going on in those people's marriages and their lives. And anybody can put on a fake smile. Anybody can pretend, right? Anybody can, put on the act and play the part, right? And so, when it comes to taking advice, you should find somebody who has either credibility, or two, they have a relationship or some degree of proof that you can model. Like, they're modeling something that you desire, right? Like, well, those people, they have a relationship or a marriage that I actually honor and respect, and I would love to have something similar to what they have. So I'm going to go talk to them and find out what are they doing. I'm going to get advice from them. Or I'm going to go speak to this expert, somebody who's spent thousands of hours and worked with hundreds of people figuring out patterns of poor behavior versus patterns of positive behavior, powerless behavior versus empowering behavior, right? I'm not going to waste my time out here with people who've never read a single book in their life. They have no credentials. They haven't worked with anybody. They're not working on themselves. They haven't helped anybody outside of themselves. It's just general advice, and the general consensus of culture right now, unfortunately, is throwaway culture. It's like, you'll get people's, for the most part, I think, you'll get people will have a positive response when you're happy. You meet somebody, you fall in love, and everyone's like, oh, this is so great, blah, 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 thumbs up, But the minute something goes bad, it's like a complete reversal. Culture will come in and go, oh, that person's a narcissist. You need to break up with them. You're so, and it becomes the victim mentality, because that's what people want for themselves. They want you to co-sign their powerlessness and their bullshit, because if everybody is just co-signing everybody else's bullshit, then nobody actually has to do the work to change who they are. We can all just run around jumping out of one superficial relationship to another, to another, to another, to another, to another. We can just keep going around, right? The definition of insanity, doing the same thing and expecting different results. Hopping around from relationship to relationship to relationship to relationship to relationship, and nothing ever changes, right? And everybody else, because everybody else is doing the same thing that we're doing, we can just join them on that carousel of bullshit. We're all riding the same carousel of bullshit, powerlessness, right? And as long as we're all in it together, then cool. Nobody has to hold anybody to a higher standard. There is no accountability. Like, oh, you're a victim too? Yeah, me too. I'm a victim. Yeah. Oh, they were a narcissist. Yeah, mine was a narcissist too. It's like, okay. Like, but what if they're not a narcissist? What if it was you? What if you were the problem? What if you were the one who fucked up? What if you were the one that caused this relationship to blow up? What if you were the one who cheated and lied? What if you were the asshole? You see, people aren't gonna call themselves out. They're not gonna hold themselves accountable for those things. No. It's always somebody else's fault. And so then they start hanging out with other people who are gonna be like, yeah, that person, yeah, they were an asshole, yeah, because they don't want to be held accountable either. So you get into this, our culture is made up of this no accountability, right? We'll just call it the no accountability culture, the powerless culture, where everybody doesn't want to be held accountable for the parts that they play in the dysfunction and the destruction of these relationships. And so, but then it creates this superficial cycle that we're all experiencing in the shit of the dating world because, nobody takes the dating world serious because it's full of all of that. It's full of a bunch of victims. A bunch of people who aren't taking accountability. They're not taking responsibility. They're not growth-oriented people. They're doing nothing to change. They're just bouncing out of one relationship to the next relationship to the next relationship, right? And that's the advice that they give to all their family, all their friends. It's like, oh yeah, the minute something gets hard, the minute that there's any type of challenge or resistance or, oh my God, like there's a problem. We have to face a challenge. God forbid. Like, nah, just leave, flush them down the toilet, break up, find somebody else. And it's crazy because, it's weird that it's like human beings, like people, they think the number one problem that people have is they think that they're not supposed to have any problems. And the only people that don't have problems are people that are in graveyards, dead people. Right? It's unrealistic to think that you're going to pursue somebody or you're going to end up in a relationship with somebody and not have a problem. Right? That everything's going to be perfect. Everything is just going to go, unicorns, fairies, and rainbows. And that the minute that things aren't unicorns, fairies, and rainbows, you're just going to break up. You're going to move on. You're going to play the victim card, whatever. And you're just going to move. The grass is always greener. Right? Hence the title of this video. The grass isn't greener. And so what I propose is different, right? For the 1%, you 1%ers out there that get it, this is only going to resonate for the 1%ers out there that get it. When you break a bone in your body, right? Let's say you break your arm or whatever. When that bone heals, it'll be stronger than it was before it was broken. That's the power of overcoming hurdles, obstacles, and challenges in a relationship, right? Love is courage. Have the courage to go all in on a relationship, realizing that when you choose a person, you choose a set of problems. That's another thing that most people don't understand. Because we have a tendency to focus on the honeymoon phase, the fairy tale, all the good shit that happens at the beginning of a relationship. That part is the easy part. Right? It's super easy to focus on, oh man, they're so this and they're so that. And you have all the love chemicals, the fantasy, the honeymoon phase, and all that stuff is affecting us. But the reality is that person, no matter who it is, whether it's me, whether it's you, whether it's this person, whether that person, it doesn't matter who it is. There's no such thing as a perfect person. The reality is this. There are just simply people who have problems that you can tolerate and people who have problems that you can't tolerate. That's it. When you choose a person, you choose a set of problems. And what will determine the fate of your relationship is, did you choose somebody who has a set of problems that you can comfortably tolerate? Or are their problems too much? Or is it a deal breaker? Is it a non-negotiable? Right? Everybody comes with a set of problems. And so as the relationship solidifies and goes deeper and closer, and you start to bond and you become emotionally invested, all of a sudden, once all the happy and the fairy tale bullshit and the honeymoon and all that crap wears off, and you're left with the real thing, what's left over after that, you've gone out on the dates, you've had the experiences, you've had all the sex, and you've seen each other, and you've done all the things. And now, here you are. What's left over after all the chemicals, you've worked all the happy chemicals out of your body. Now you're getting down to the real person. We're getting down to what's really real. Because the real me is eventually going to come out. The real you eventually is going to come out. And when the real me and the real you come out, can the real me relate with the real you? Can we actually coexist? Can we have true love and harmony? Can we build? Can we grow? Can we expand? What's left over after all the happy chemical fairy unicorn bullshit? Well, I'll tell you what's left over. The problems. The imperfections, right? Because the real person has problems. They have imperfections, both people. And that's what you're left over. That's what you're going to have to deal with. That's the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. So the next question is, well, if we all have problems and we're all imperfect, then what do we do with the problems? Well, you have two options. You can go into the grass is greener syndrome and you can say, well, screw them. I'll just go out and look for somebody else. And you'll spend the rest of your life looking and searching and looking and searching and looking and searching, because the grass isn't greener on the other side. It's greener wherever the fuck you water it. Right? And our culture is throwaway culture. Our culture is just so it's like fast food culture. You order something on you order something from Amazon. In a lot of cases, you expect to have it the same day, because that's just the level of expectation that, we live in. Everything is digital. Everything is instantaneous, right? You want something, you get it instantly, delivered instantly, downloaded instantly. Everything's instant, right? And so instant gratification. And in a relationship, the minute that you don't have or you're not experiencing instant gratification with a human being, which is totally different than electronics and technology and all the other bullshit, you're dealing with a human being, an imperfect human being, who's not always going to give you instant gratification. What is the belief? The belief is discard them, throw them away, get rid of them, go find somebody else. The grass is greener. Find somebody that will give you instant gratification. And then when they stop giving you instant gratification, throw them away, and then throw them away. But then eventually you're going to get sick and tired of living this miserable life, because that's exhausting. It's miserable and it's exhausting. It is superficial. You want more, right? It sucks having to start over again and 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 again, going through the same patterns, the same cycle again and again and again, having the same conversations, getting to know you the same way, having to qualify that person again and again, and then having the same breakups, having the same throwaway, having the same problems, right? Eventually, that shit gets tired, right? So you can either just, live alone for the rest of your life and be lonely and miserable and never experience life. Again, going back to the people who get a terminal cancer diagnosis, right? It's like, hey, you're going to die in a month. And it's like, well, fuck, I'm going to die in a month. Might as well throw it to the wind now. Spend every penny in my bank account, go have all the experiences, live my life to the nines. Well, why weren't you living that way before? Why weren't you squeezing every drop out of life before you had the terminal diagnosis? Because we're all going to die. We all have a terminal diagnosis right now. Nobody lives forever. Now, I get it. Some people, when you haven't been told you've only got 30 days to live, it's a little different than saying, well, I might have 30 more years to live, 60 more years, I'm in good health. There's no foreseeable problems. There's no reason why I shouldn't be able to live, years and years and years and years. So it's not it doesn't seem as important right now. Like we have time, the illusion of time, right? But that's not true. No one has certainty about anything, you know? And so the delusion of this certainty culture that we live in is that we think that we everything is just disposable. And I'm here to tell you that the grass isn't greener in disposable culture. The grass is greener where you water it. And if you are with somebody where you personally, again, forget the outside noise, forget what your friends say, your parents say, forget whoever the fuck, whatever external influence or voice is in your head trying to convince you. If you have invested your heart, your soul, your time, your energy into a person, and you are dedicated to making it work, right? Even if you don't know how, and that's okay. That's completely okay, because not knowing how is part of life. Nobody knows how to do anything until we learn how to do it, until we get the knowledge to know how to do it. And thankfully, that is one of the benefits of modern technology, is that, you can get answers anywhere now. Information is readily available, right? You have instant access to all sorts of free resources across the internet, and you can get connected literally instantly with an expert across any industry, across any field, and you don't even have to see them in person. You can do it all virtually now, right? Everything is instantaneous now. So you don't even have to know the how. You just need to have the heart. You don't have to have the how. You just have to have the heart. And the heart's like, hey, you know what? I don't know how we're going to fix this. Like this, we're facing challenges right now. And if we don't overcome these challenges, I know that these challenges will destroy us. But I refuse to let that happen. So I'm going to go and I'm going to find the right resource, the right person, the right whatever it takes to ensure that that doesn't happen. Right? And sometimes it takes balls. Sometimes it takes courage for you to stand up for what you believe about the importance of the relationship that you have with a person, regardless of the external judgments and criticisms from other people who have chosen to play it safe, play it easy. They're in throwaway culture. They're in all of that bullshit. They want to stay victim. They want to stay powerless. They want to stay where they're at. And you called yourself to a higher level, right? You're holding yourself to a higher standard. So you have to separate yourself from that. You have to separate yourself from the people who are pessimistic. They're gonna give you bad advice. They're gonna tell you, hey, he or she is a narcissist. Everyone's a narcissist now. Somebody hurts your feeling, they're a narcissist. Overly used word. People don't even know what the fuck a true narcissist is. Just talking out of their asshole. Everyone's a narcissist. And so, they're going to say what they're going to say because, they're holding themselves to the lowest possible standard. And, I have a non-negotiable with myself, which is I will never lower the standard of who I am based off an experience I have with people who betray themselves. It's like you can betray yourself. That's fine for you. If you want to betray yourself and you want to hold yourself to the lowest possible standard for you because you don't have the courage to grow, to evolve, to take accountability, to take personal responsibility, to become a better version of you because you're happy with whatever level of fulfillment that you experience down here at the bottom of the barrel, that's up to you, man. That's your life. That's your decision. That's your choice. And everyone has a choice to determine what their life is for them. The quality of their life, that's in your hands. You have a free will choice to determine the quality and fulfillment of your life. And if you're happy at the bottom of the barrel, great, good for you. I'm not happy at the bottom of the barrel. So I'm going to hold myself to a higher standard. And when I fail and I fuck up and I make mistakes, then I'm going to go within and I'm going to evaluate myself. I'm going to look at myself and I say, hey, I have to fix me because I'm the only person that I can control. I can't control what other people do. I can't control what a partner does in a relationship. I can't control anything. I control nothing. All I can control is myself, my own thoughts, feelings, actions, and behaviors. And when I notice that there's something that comes out of me that I don't like, something that's harmful, that's disempowering, something that's victim, something that's creating an issue, then I need to go inside of me and I need to address it. I need to take responsibility for it, grow and evolve that thing, right? Because it's not other people, it's not external situations and external experiences that are going to prevent me from grabbing hold of my fulfillment and my destiny. It's me. I'm the person that's going to prevent me. We are our own worst enemy. But so many people, they don't want to look at themselves because they have too much guilt, shame, regret. They don't want to have to actually look at themselves and go, wait, I'm the reason that my life is unhappy. I'm the reason that life sucks. I'm the reason that I keep going around the same mountains again and again and again. The definition of insanity. I'm the reason that I keep doing the same things and expecting a different result. I can't blame anybody. I can't blame my parents. I can't blame my ex. I can't blame my kids. I can't blame my job. I can't blame my boss. I can't blame anybody. I actually have to take responsibility for this shit. Like, yeah, you do. If you want fulfillment, or you can just live in a lie. You can just lie to yourself and betray yourself for the rest of your life. And then, on your deathbed, assuming that you have the opportunity to reflect moments before you're dying in regret that you lived a victim's life, that you let your whole life go by. Man, I tried to play it safe. I tried to play it small. I was so scared. I was mortified. I was fearful. And all you needed was just a little bit of courage. You don't have to be the most courageous person in the world, just a little bit. Just be willing to do something scared from time to time. That's what courage is. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's doing something scared. Right? Just anything. What are you afraid of that you can muster just a tiny little bit of courage and say, I'm really scared right now, but I'm going to do this thing anyway. I'm going to move forward despite my fears, right? And when you start breaking free of your own fear bullshit mentality, then you start to realize all the resources that are available to you. It's like, man, I could find a community of people. I could find inspiration. There's so many things out there. All I have to do is subject myself to a new standard, a new way of being, a new way of living, a new way of thinking. And once I subject myself to that, then all of a sudden that world becomes available to me and I'm not alone in that world anymore because people will come to me, resources will come to me, God's source, the universe will back me up, whatever. The things that I need will find me or come to me. I don't even have to necessarily go look for them. I just have to be open. I have to be willing to receive them. There's an invitation here, right? You become a beacon for, or an open invitation for answers to come to you because there's a part of you that you've decided, you made a choice, your free will choice, the most powerful position, the most powerful gift that we've been given as humanity is the free will choice. You have a choice to determine the fate of your destiny, and your destiny determines your fulfillment. They're one and the same. Your fulfillment is tied to your destiny is tied to your fulfillment. So if you're happy living a destiny that's lacking fulfillment, you're living you're a dead man or a dead woman walking, right? Because you're unhappy, you're unfulfilled, you're disconnected, you're checked out, you're living in fear. The lowest possible standard for yourself and your relationships. Well, that sucks. Because time's ticking. Time and energy are the two most valuable resources that we can't reproduce. And when they're gone, they're gone. You can't get them back. When today's gone, we can't get today back. And when you wake up tomorrow, you have a finite amount of energy to get you through the day before you have to go to sleep. Then you have to wake up the next day and you get some of that energy back. So how do you want to use your time and your energy that you can't get back to live your life? Do you want to live it in victimhood and powerlessness? Or holding yourself to a higher standard and saying, I don't know how I'm going to create the life of my dreams or the relationship of my dreams, but I'll find a way. I'll figure it out. I'll find a way. I'll figure it out. Right? So all this to say that the grass is definitely not greener. Okay? The grass is not greener on the other side. The grass is greener wherever you water it. The grass is greener where you invest in you first. The grass is greener where you become a growth-oriented person, a solution-oriented person. You hold yourself to the highest standard. You hold yourself accountable for your own thoughts, feelings, actions, and behaviors. You stop looking outside of yourself in the external world for validation, for attention, for love, for meaning, for fulfillment, right? Those are just Band-Aids. You can only put, if someone chops their arm off and you hand them a Band-Aid, that's not very helpful. It's like, a Band-Aid's not going to stop this is not going to solve this issue. We have a severe issue here. A Band-Aid is not what's needed. It's the wrong tool for the job. And there's many people out there who have severe spiritual bankruptcy, severe relationship issues, severe self-worth and insecurities issues, severe issues regarding their fear and all kinds of shit. And they're out looking for Band-Aids. Like, oh, if I can just get a Band-Aid, this and that. It's like, that's not gonna solve your problem. You have to have a change in your beliefs, in your standards. You have to come to terms with yourself. You have to have a non-negotiable with yourself. Right? You have to decide what you're going to tolerate, what you're not going to tolerate. And if you're willing to tolerate the lowest possible standard, then that's what you're going to get from life. If you're willing to tolerate friends who are also at the lowest possible standard and they discourage you more than they encourage you, and every time you have a relationship, obstacle, they're telling you to leave your partner and they're this and they're that and they're a piece of shit and you're the best person in the world and blah, 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 then maybe you should think about that. Maybe you need new friends. Maybe you need new family members. Maybe, who knows? Right? But at the end of the day, we all get what we tolerate. We all get what we tolerate. And again, the number one problem that people think they're not supposed to have is any problems. People think they're not supposed to have any problems, but the only people that don't have problems are people that are dead and buried in graves. Problems are a part of life. Problems are a part of growth, evolution, evolving. Having a problem doesn't mean that you're with the wrong person necessarily. Having a problem in your relationship doesn't mean that you have to throw it away. Right? Sometimes, yes. Sometimes you are with the wrong person. Sometimes, yes, a toxic relationship that should have never happened in the first place, much less keep going and going and going, a trauma bond or whatever. Sure, those relationships need to end. But not every relationship that has a problem is a toxic relationship. Problems are actually healthy. Problems promote growth. They promote evolution. You can't stay at the same place that you've remained at. Everything either grows or it dies. That is a fundamental natural law of the created universe. It's not my law. I'm not the one who made it. But it's just the way that it is. Problems are healthy. Problems promote growth and evolution. They promote strength. If your relationship is not having any issues, not having any problems ever, then I question your relationship. Problems are a good thing sometimes. You shouldn't be having problems all the time, but every once in a while, a problem is a good thing. Promotes evolution, promotes growth. Hey, we're just being, challenged to go up to the next level together. So let's invite the problem, accept the problem, and conquer the problem. And let's evolve and let's grow. So for those of you that this message resonates with, hopefully there's something in all this. I know that this is a long rant. I mean, it seemed like it was only like 15 minutes, and then I look over at the clock and it's like 50 minutes. Like, wow, I've been talking for an hour. I probably should need to shut up. But this is something I'm very passionate about, because I see it all the time. And it sucks because when you're the person in the relationship and you actually care about the person that you're with, when something goes wrong in the relationship, it makes you question yourself. And then all the external noise, the opinions of other people, all the external shit starts to stack and pile upon you. And it makes it very difficult sometimes for you to figure out what's right for you. Especially when it's real, when it's raw, it just happened. You know, you just had this fight or this blow up or this breakup or whatever this thing is that happened, right? It's still very, very fresh and you're confused and you're not sure what to do. But you know that you love this person, and you know that you don't want it to ultimately be over, even if, something happened. It seems like that's kind of, it blew up for a hot minute here. It's like, well, yeah, we kind of, we hit below the belt and we blew it up. Me and my partner, like we blew it up, and so here we are in the destruction that we created. And right now it looks that way. But when the cloud and the dust settles and you get back to who you are, you're going to find out that you and this person, you still love each other, but there might be fear, there might be apprehension because damage was done. Hurt and pain was created. And so, a lot of times we have to know how and when to protect our relationship, and we have to know who to invite into that space, and we have to have enough common sense, enough knowledge and discernment to discern what the next steps need to be when things get out of control or they get out of hand. And not everybody needs to be invited into that process. Not everybody needs to be invited into every little minute microscopic element of your relationship. There needs to be trusted and qualified people that you invite into there who understand what the vision, goal, and purpose of that you both want. And if you both are wanting connection in a relationship, and for the most part, it's healthy, 80 to 90% of the time, you're having a healthy relationship, and then the 20 or 10% of the time you're having challenges. Well, okay. That's understandable. Then you need to have somebody that you can turn to. You need to have mentors. You need to have, a trusted, expert in your corner that you can turn to and say, hey, we're having a challenge this month. Something came up. You don't need to be inviting your friends and your family and all these external opinions that are just going to confuse you, especially when you're raw and you're hurting and you're vulnerable. Right? Because once you're hurt, you want justice. And when people start telling you what you want to hear that makes you feel good, then that's going to create more damage when you come full circle and you want that person back. Because now, now you've created more damage. It's like, yeah, they are an asshole and this and that, because you have all these people that are puffing you up and trying to make you feel good about yourself, and they're putting your partner down, making them act like the bad guy. Everyone starts to take sides and all that kind of crap, right? And it takes a special kind of person to have enough wisdom and discernment to step out of that and say, nope, I'm not going to play that game. I'm not choosing sides. This isn't he said, she said, who's better, who's worse, any of that. And if that's the game you want to play, then you don't care about that person anyway. You don't care about your relationship. You care about you. You just want to be right. And if you want to be right, then you don't want to be in a relationship. That's it. You can be right, or you can have a relationship, but you can't have both. Which one do you want? If you want to be right, cool, you're right. You're done. The relationship's over. Leave that person alone. Never talk to them. Never speak to them again. Cut them out and leave them alone. And you go on with your life and they'll go on with their life. If you love this person and you actually want to work on things, then you have to give up your freedom to be right all the time. Say, it's more important for me to have a relationship with this person that I love. So I actually need to protect the relationship that I have with them by not inviting all the bullshit into it that's just going to make it worse. It doesn't matter what my parents think. It doesn't matter what friends think. It doesn't matter if culture thinks that we should just dispose anytime there's an issue or a problem, we should just get rid of somebody and just move on to the next person, move on to the next person, and move on to the next person. It doesn't matter. There's millions of fish in the sea, right? You have to have enough discernment to stand up and say, well, no, I love this person. And yes, we have problems. And yes, right now, the problem that we're dealing with is toxic. And yes, it hurts. And yes, it blew shit up. And yes, we are responsible. But you know what? We're going to conquer this. You know what? We love each other. And you know what? We're going to work through this. And we're going to get help. We're going to do whatever we have to do to figure this shit out and overcome it. And this is not going to be the end. This is not going to be the death of us. We are going to figure this out. Right? That's badass. How many people do that? How many people do that? That's rare. And that's who this message is for. This message is for those of you out there who resonate with everything that I've said. This message is for you, a reminder for you to keep going, that love is worth fighting. It's the most courageous thing you'll ever do, but it's worth fighting for. And if you're looking for assistance or you need help, reach out to me. I am a certified relationship practitioner, relationship expert. You can also purchase my book on Amazon, Better Than Before, Relationship Revolution. This isn't, I'm not here to promote the book. It's not a shameless self-promotion. Like, I'm not getting rich whether you buy my book or you don't buy my book, right? But I'm mentioning it because I know what the fuck I'm talking about and I know that I can help you, right? And if it's not me, then find somebody, find an expert. Just find anybody who can actually help you, but make sure that the person that you're working with is aligned with the outcome that you seek. Don't be tricked and fooled by people who have degrees and, oh, that person was a PhD and a doctorate this and they went to school here and blah, 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 right? Like, going to school and having a piece of paper doesn't mean shit, right? It just means that you passed tests and you went through the institution to get the piece of paper, right? Don't base the qualifications of the person that you're going to give your life and your relationship and your future to based on just a piece of paper that means nothing. Like, qualify that person. When you go to that person that you're going to pay your hard-earned money towards, you should have questions to ask them, right? Unless they've done such a good job explaining on the front end to where it's like they answered all your questions already and you feel that comfortable utilizing their services, that's great. Then they did their due diligence in terms of marketing themselves. That's just really good marketing. If you can answer people's questions, all their questions, by the time they show up, like, man, I don't have any questions for you. You already answered all of our questions before we even got to you. That's really good marketing. But, in my opinion, you should have questions for that person. Ask them questions. Qualify them. If you came to work with me, qualify me. Like, hey, we have questions. How are you going to help us? Here are the problems that we're having. Here's the outcome. This is what we're trying to accomplish here. How can you help us? That's qualifying the person, not just going, oh my gosh, we're so desperate. We're so desperate. Can you help us? And when you're desperate, you're not thinking. You're just going to give your money to somebody who's happy to take it, who may or may not be able to actually help you get the result that you need, right? So just keep that in mind. But anyways, I'm so passionate and I'm so fired up about this topic, but I need to cut it short. I've made it over an hour now. So if you made it this far, achievement unlocked. Congratulations for listening to this for over an hour. And if I can assist you at all, or if you have questions about your relationship, you're going through a relationship challenge, or somebody that's going through a relationship challenge and you're unsure if I would be a good match for them, just refer them to me. or you can reach out to me directly. My contact information is in the description box below. My website is there as well as a link to my book. And reach out. I offer 100% free consultations. Cost you absolutely nothing to have a conversation with me and to answer any types of questions that you're having. I'm also a part of a network, an expanding network, an ever expanding network. My network is expanding every day, where I know a lot of people where if I can't personally help you, then I probably know somebody who can. And if I don't know, then I can connect you to somebody who probably has somebody who knows somebody. So don't allow, what I would say is don't allow any excuse to be the excuse for why you're not taking action, right? Don't fall into passivity is my point. Like, if I can't help you, I'll help you find somebody who can help you, right? Because that's what somebody who is service oriented. It's like when you're passionate about something and you want to help people and you genuinely help people. It's not about money. It's not about accolades. It's not about status. You genuinely help people. It's like you'll do whatever you can to help people. And that's my passion. That's my call in life. My call in my life is to help people. You know, it's not just about money or accolades or all that other bullshit. You know, so if I personally can't help you, I will connect you to somebody that can help you. I will help you find somebody that can help you. So anyways, if you found this information helpful, and you like this content and you haven't already, I'd greatly appreciate it if you would, like and subscribe to the channel and all that, all the good things. And, I hope for those of you that are seeing this, at the time of this recording, it is, it's the end of the year of 2024. So happy holidays. And if you're watching this video and it's not the end of 2024, then I hope that you have a blessed and wonderful day, and love and light.